goal line clearance from rookie Carrie Lawrence. So I'm intrigued, Josh, to see what we're going to see from the Pride tonight.
Ashlyn Harris had a big game against North Carolina, stymieing the front unit of the Courage. Tonight she goes up against a tough attacking team in the Houston Dash. Up next when we return, we will have lineup and kick right here on Twitch. Welcome back as we get set for the Houston Dash and the Orlando Pride here in the South Pod as James Clarkson gets ready for his team to take the field. His starting 11 tonight. He'll have two different changes from one he brought out against the North Carolina Courage.
Yeah, Josh, with Alicia Chapman out with that red card suspension, we see a very different name in outside left back, Christine Nairn, her second start of the year, and I don't believe she's ever started in defense, at least not for the Dash. And then up front, Bridget Andrzejewski out for this game. Brie Vazali, who we didn't see in the first game of the fall series for the Dash, getting the start. Otherwise, same players as before.
Christine Nairn getting a go against her former club in the Orlando Pride. And for Mark Skinner, he will also have a couple changes as well in his starting 11.
It would have been the same 11, but two players chose not to travel for this game, Kristen Edmonds and Sydney LaRue. So Savannah Uvegas, one of the players signed to a short-term contract for the fall series, getting a start up there. Also, Chelsea Washington getting her first pro start, sitting on top of that defense. Otherwise, same lineup as last week.
Ashlyn Harris, of course, between the sticks tonight. A clean sheet against North Carolina, matching her total for last season as both these two teams get ready for their second game here in the fall series for the Orlando Pride. It is their second game here in 2020, and they are reared and ready to go. One of the things about that first game against North Carolina, people were a little bit unsure of what Mark Skinner was going to roll out on the field, but now we have some videotape on what Orlando did bring to the field in their last match against North Carolina. So now James Clarkson will have the opportunity to go up against the Orlando Pride.
That's why I wondered if I felt that maybe Orlando had a little bit of an advantage last week, as coming in against North Carolina having no idea what they'd look like since they hadn't played in the Challenge Cup and hadn't played in the fall series yet, whereas Orlando got to watch them in the Challenge Cup and in one game before.
James.
Of course, all three of these teams in the East, do I have that right? No, the South Pod. There's three pods, South Pod, Northeast, West. So the South Pod, Orlando, Houston, North Carolina. This is the first time these two teams have met in the fall series, and the first time these teams have played since August 2019.
It's also the first game at BBVA Stadium this year, obviously, for the Houston Dash, so the Challenge Cup champions. hosting their first game in Houston.
Back in their orange jerseys, which I know they prefer. James Clarkson has made it clear that they lost when they wore their away kits at the Challenge Cup. He likes the orange kits. Orlando in their new away kits released this year.
Just matter of seconds away from this one as we look at Ashlyn Harris there for the Orlando Pride.
The Houston Dash and Orlando Pride players stand together in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and the fight against systematic racism. Please join us for a silent moment of solidarity as we all united against racism.
You can hear the fans at BBVA Stadium. This is the first time the Dash have had fans in the stadium in a year, and just the second time BBVA has had fans at all in 2020. The Dynamo hosted fans last week, and of course, limited number of fans, very strict protocols in place at BBVA Stadium with temperature checks, mask required, social distance parking, contactless payment, staggered arrival, and everyone's on the upper deck. There are no fans whatsoever on the lower deck.
Houston in the orange kits, Orlando in the white kits. Josh Toole and the keeper Jen Cooper with you this evening as both these two teams coming from the South Pod playing in their second game for the Orlando Pride. They went up against North Carolina last week. And for Mark Skinner, he talked about how it was good to knock the rust off and get back on the field. He liked how his team played. Excited for this game against the Houston Dash. Meanwhile, for Houston, talking with James Clarkson, he was talking about how he wasn't sure what Orlando would bring, but he had film that he could look at now as they went up against North Carolina. So he has a little bit more of an understanding of some of these new faces we're seeing with the Pride as Marta plays it across, and this one's gathered in and now slid through, but there Christine Nairn plays it back to Jane Campbell, and you mentioned it at the top, Nairn at the left back position. Normally we see her in the midfield.
Yeah, tough choice for James Clarkson with Megan Oyster on the bench, but still recovering from the rib injury suffered during the Challenge Cup. So you don't have your normal center back. You've slotted Allie Prysock over to center back. So then to lose Alicia Chapman as your normal left back, and Erin Simon is out for personal reasons this game. So I was really curious to see who was going to get that left back. I would not have expected that it would have been Christine Nairn.
Vazali plays it in. She was looking for Veronica Latsko, but too heavy of a pass. For the Houston Dash, they fell to North Carolina 4-3. Orlando tying, or excuse me, yes, they did. That was their first game. Orlando also tying North Carolina 0-0.
Impressive shutout for the Pride, especially when you look at they went 24 games last season and only earned one shutout. So to come out of the gate with that game against the league champion, it's tremendous.
Marta goes up, heads it. And that's going to be too far for Marta as it's going to roll out for a Houston Dash throw.
And I think what's really great with this fall series, Josh, is the opportunity it gives a coach like Mark Skinner, his second year in NWSL, and not being able to play in the Challenge Cup. Crucial time to keep implementing his game plan and actually expose more players to his system, right? There's a lot of people on loan for the Pride, but he's brought in a lot of great local players. It's amazing the depth of talent in Florida. So to see players like Jordan Listro, Denisha Blackwood, Carrie Lawrence get some minutes, it made last weekend really exciting.
Carrie Lawrence with a big game against North Carolina, nearly had a goal, had a big save on the goal line to keep the score 0-0 as we'll have a foul here against Houston. The Houston Dash at the Challenge Cup, 4 shutouts. They're able to take down the Chicago Red Stars in the championship game.
Set a new club record for consecutive minutes without allowing a goal.
Krieger sends it into the box. Headed back. Prysock wins the ball. Sent right back in by Lawrence. And Campbell comes out and grabs it at the 6. Here's a look at Katie Naughton in her first year with the Houston Dash as she goes over the top looking for Latsko. Harris well out, and she'll play it to the near touchline. One of the things that James Clarkson talked about, he wants to convert their chances today and really defend the set plays better than they did against the North Carolina Courage. That gave them issues in their opening game as this is played up. Bazzali wins control and now gives it right back to Orlando. Bazzali on the ball will play it back to Naughton. Prysock. Prysock does have center back experience, so her playing at that position is not unusual for her.
But that's got to be tough switching back and forth between outside back and center back.
This one played into Prince. Prince crosses it. Bazzali on the volley, plays it out. Great look there by Nichelle Prince on the cross, finding Brie Bazzali. Bazzali got her right foot on, just cannot direct it on frame.
Bazzali signed from Birmingham City before Challenge Cup. She was drafted by Chicago in 2018. Couldn't quite cut into that roster. Spent 2 seasons in the Women's Super League in England thanks to having a British parent. Really took her game to a new level, and she's been a great acquisition for the Dash.
She had great combination play in the Challenge Cup for Houston as Prysock plays it outside. Hansen, though, unable to control. Orlando Pride, you looked at the chemistry that they had in the first game against North Carolina. Really one of the things that Mark Skinner talked about was the mentality of this team and how strong and tough it is as this is played all the way down and a goal kick coming for the Dash. But you have to think maybe those nerves settled after that first game against North Carolina as Orlando now looks to build on that first performance.
Looked like to me that they had nerves of steel last week, holding up to some really powerful attacks by Lynn Williams and Debinha. Ashlyn Harris making some great saves and getting a little bit help from her defense as well.
Walensky wins the throw for the Pride. All 3 seasons with Orlando.
Though she was originally drafted by the Dash in 2018, but released before the season started, ended up with Orlando that year as an international team replacement player and ended up earning a contract.
For the Orlando Pride in that game against North Carolina, 5 players earned their first NWSL minutes, and Carrie Lawrence, Courtney Peterson, Jordan Listro, as well as Chelsea Washington and Denisha Blackwood.
Yeah, there's so many great connections in this match. Players, you know, opponents who are teammates elsewhere. Like we've got a great Cornhusker versus Cornhusker battle going between Haley Hansen and Savannah Uvegas making her NWSL debut tonight. It's nice to see more players from the Midwest and the Big 12, those teams getting into NWSL.
There, a great look at Carrie Lawrence. Solid first game. One of those unknown players that, well, made her name known after last Saturday's match.
Yeah, I know fans will probably get tired of hearing us say it during this fall series, but these games are an incredible opportunity, not just for new players to create a name for themselves, but returning players to up their stock going into 2021, as we've got a waiver draft coming up after the fall series, an expansion draft, more importantly, for Racing Louisville, and beyond that, expansion for Angel City in LA and, you know, possibly another team.
Lawrence. Good battle there between her and Bazzali. No whistle. Broome plays it off to Schmidt. Mewis, always dangerous with that left foot, takes a deflection. Nairn inside of Mewis. Too much weight on the pass, but Nairn able to keep it in.
That was impressive.
Nairn in her second year with the dash. Mewis now with a little space to work with. Just play that behind the intended target, Shea Groom. Marta. Through ball, and this one, chance here, and falls into the arms of Campbell. It looked like Alinsky was going to be able to get a boot on it, but Campbell falls on top, preventing any kind of danger in the box.
Campbell making the safe save at the last minute, but Alinsky getting dangerously close to goal.
Schmidt, the Canadian international, is sitting at 199 caps, plays it out wide. Groom. Prince giving chase, but Presley right there as she'll usher this out. And it looks like that hit the foot of Presley, and now we'll have a corner for the Houston Dash.
Presley getting her second straight start tonight. Returned late last season after being diagnosed with breast cancer in August. So impressive that she's been able to stay healthy and return, and incredible support from her team.
Mewis headed up, and Nairn's going to run out of room.
Nairn finished the 2019 season, Josh, with 150 regular season appearances all time in NWSL. She's the all-time leader for regular season. Dash just couldn't keep that ball low and on frame.
Lawrence playing it to Marta. Marta retreats, and she'll send it to the opposite side of the field. Prince giving chase for Houston as Presley heads it down. Hard tackle there by Groom, but that's going to result in a foul for Shea Groom at the Challenge Cup. 3 goals and 1 assist. Here in the fall series, she already has 2 assists.
And Groom getting that icing on the cake goal against Chicago in the Challenge Cup final, earning her the MVP trophy for that game. I know she's really enjoyed being back in Texas, where she went to school, not too far from Houston, about 90 minutes from Houston, Texas A&M. A lot of great coverage of the Dash coming out of College Station.
Presley now slowing things down for Orlando, a team that's always good in possession, but then they turn it right over, and now a chance for Mewis. Gives it over to Groom. Groom blocked by Harris, and then headed away by Krieger. Prince just outside the area. Houston showing how they can be a threat. 11 goals total here in 2020. You go back to last season, they had 21 goals the entirety of the season. Much more lethal attacking team this year for James Clarkson.
So many important offseason acquisitions like Shea Groom, like Brie Vazali. Also, Katie Naughton and Megan Oyster as that center back pairing. Of course, Oyster on the bench still recovering from that rib injury in the Challenge Cup. She did play the final, but as James Clarkson said, adrenaline is a great painkiller when you're playing in a final, but they felt it best to rest her and not push it and make it a potentially long-term injury.
Mark Skinner talked about how you have to watch out for Shea Groom, one of the best players right now in the NWSL with the way that she's performed. He also talked about Kristie Mewis, how she's returned to her top form.
Mewis getting the call in for that December 2019 Talent ID camp with the U.S. Women's National Team. Be interesting to see if she gets another call the next time the U.S. women are able to have a camp.
Prince. And that one denied by Harris. And then Vasali plays it out past the inline.
Prince back in form as well. She was injured during the 2019 Women's World Cup. Groom trying to get the shot off there. Orlando can't quite clear it. Prince doing great work on the right flank, sending it in. Harris gets a touch on it. Keep it out. But Prince, minor knee injury in the 2019 Women's World Cup, ended up keeping her out of the dash lineup for the rest of the 2019 season. We did see her return in the Challenge Cup. She created a lot of havoc up top. Didn't see it end up on the score sheet with a goal or assist, but I feel like that's coming.
Throw here for Orlando here in their second game of the fall series. Courtney Peterson with her second straight start, number 7 overall pick out of Virginia.
One of many draft picks for Orlando this year. They had a lot of picks, a lot of foreign signings as well. Of course, most of those foreign signings, because they wanted to play in their Euro qualifiers or needed more minutes than the fall series could provide, they're currently on loan. But it gives this great opportunity to that pool of talent in Florida. So many women's college soccer programs in Florida, as well as WPSL, and you've got the close connection to the Caribbean. I think Mark Skinner is really going to get a payoff from tapping into that talent pool.
That's a big thing for Mark Skinner, too. He had his first full off season to really build his team in the way that he envisions it, as Vasali nearly knocked off the ball by Vigiano, but still controls. Schmidt. She'll drop it back to Nairn.
And it's a similar story for James Clarkson, right? He's hired December 2018, has very short time to get set up for the draft and prepare for his first season. Mark Skinner hired right after the 2019 draft. Both of them now having a full year under their belts and then a full off season. You know, I just wonder what we would have been able to see from Orlando had they been able to participate in the Challenge Cup.
You look at Mark Skinner and assistant coach Carl Green having their contracts extended through 2021. Talked about how there's unfinished business and really didn't get the opportunity to show what they could do as a coaching staff and really what they can do as a team. Hoping to build here on the fall series and carry that over into 2021.
And Josh, a lot of the Dash core players getting their contracts extended. Kristie Mewis, Megan Oyster, Katie Knott, and Jane Campbell, even Rachel Daly, who's currently on loan, West Ham, signed. And I know that made a lot of Dash fans happy knowing that she'll be sticking around.
Daly, of course, Golden Boot and MVP of the Challenge Cup.
And she came up with their mantra during the tournament of "This circle will not break."
You look at with Daly gone, Sophie Schmidt being one of the players stepping up more into that leadership role.
Though I would think it'd be hard for anyone to vocally replace the leadership of Rachel Daly. I mean, Jane Campbell, again, you know, co-captain with Daly, but she's not quite vocal the same way. Sophie Schmidt definitely leads by doing, but offers so much veteran experience. And as you mentioned before, she's sitting on 199 international caps. Who knows when Canada's going to get to play again, but that'll be a well-deserved 200th cap when it happens.
Groom looking for Vasali, but she's going to run out of space. And another goal kick here for Ashlyn Harris and the Orlando Pride. Of course, if you want to look for a leadership for the Orlando Pride, you have to look no further than Ashlyn Harris. Going back to that game against North Carolina, you could hear how vocal she was communicating with her back four. And
you could hear everything she said. I mean, in some ways, these games are brilliant clinics for how players communicate, especially if you're a goalkeeper, how you organize your back line.
Lawrence goes up, and Naughton's going to win that one.
And that game last week, Josh, that was the first time since 2015 that you had a married couple starting together on the field with Ashlyn Harris and Allie Krieger. Last time, the last married couple, that was Erin McLeod and Ella Masser for the dash.
Latsko fires away, and that one just over the crossbar.
And it was Latsko who opened the scoring at North Carolina for the dash, getting her first goal since 2018. Of course, she had an injury early last season. Latsko getting by her mark, getting by several marks and unleashing that shot, but just a little too high.
You could see the confidence on that shot from Veronica Latsko.
She got some minutes in the Challenge Cup, but nice to see her getting back-to-back starts, kind of stepping into that role that would be Rachel Daly's. So many attacking options for the dash.
Vizzali trying to thread that one through, but right there to step in the way is Allie Krieger. Krieger down the line, hits off Nairn. And Olinsky will leave this behind for Marta. Talking with James Clarkson, he said that is one woman you never want to sleep on is Marta. She's always going to bring it up front for the Orlando Pride.
But she must be missing the matchup with Rachel Daly. It always gets so intense between the two of them. Last time these two teams met, Josh, August 2019, Orlando ended up drawing 2 red cards. First time in NWSL that we saw one team get 2, and of course one of those went to Marta.
And Marta in possession, turns away from Vizzali. Brazilian switches sides, diagonal ball. Prince pushes it forward. Presley there to head it back to Schmidt. The giveaway by Houston. Olinsky into the circle. And she gives it right over to Shea Groom. Groom turns away and then knocked over. Marta sneaks inside of Nairn, gets by Schmidt. So clever with the foot at her ball. Or the ball at her foot, I should say. Vigiano on the return pass, but Prysock right there. You can see what Savannah Uvegas wanted to do, go back to Vigiano, just could not get enough weight on the pass. Uvegas, a 3-time All-Big Ten player at Nebraska. Look at Uvegas, one of those players that's battled injuries throughout her career. 4 ACL tears.
So her 5th one is free then if she's already paid for 4. Sorry, had to say that. And she's not from Florida. I mean, I was surprised reading all the bios of the Orlando players. So many are from Florida, to see that she was scouted out of, playing at Nebraska.
Chance here, and Harris once again. And that one blocked away by Harris. Well, you want to talk about the challenges that Ashlyn Harris has seen. Great opportunity there by Groom that Harris denied.
And that's why she keeps racking up those save of the weeks. Harris down, clutching her knee. Shea Groom putting pressure on that ball. Presley with the weak back pass that Latsko's almost on. Ball comes back to Groom, who gets the shot off. What a powerful shot. Harris reads it so well, sends it out. Harris back on her feet, getting ready with the dash, taking another corner. A referee tonight, Alyssa Nichols, having a little chat with Pride captain Ashlyn Harris.
Harris, 2 saves against North Carolina, 2 saves already tonight against the Houston Dash. Left-footed ball. See, Harris still struggling, really. She hit the turf hard when she went to make the stop on Shea Groom. Trying to walk it off at the moment.
And also when she came out to block the original shot, kind of a tough collision and a tough save in quick succession. Harris has played every season of NWSL. She was the 2016 Goalkeeper of the Year and has won more Save of the Week honors than any other goalkeeper in the league.
Has a couple she could add to her resume tonight. And that one knocked off Azali. These two teams all time 5-5-1 against one another as this is played forward.
Orlando has not beat Houston since April 2018, basically. Of the last 6 meetings, you have to go back to the 6th one for Orlando to have a win.
Marta comes near side looking for Lawrence, and Lawrence able to track the ball down before it crosses the touchline. Sends it in with that right foot.
I like that attempt at a bicycle kick. That's confidence.
And here's Ashlyn Harris to gather in and push the ball up the pitch. Vigiano will go outside.
Former Houston Dash goalkeeper Aaron McLeod was signed in the offseason by Orlando Pride to be backup to Ashlyn Harris, but she chose to go get some time in Iceland with the COVID shutdown, so Orlando signed a younger backup keeper.
And Brittany Wilson out of Denver University.
That's your neck of the woods, Josh.
It is, yes. Lots of great soccer players coming from the state of Colorado. As Nichelle Prince chips it over and finds the first goal for the Houston Dash in the 27th minute.
Now, we've already said it. We knew something was coming from Nichelle Prince. She looked so dangerous in the 3 knockout games of the Challenge Cup. That's her first goal for the Dash since the opening game of the 2019 season. Canadian teammate Sophie Schmidt sending it up to Prince, who has both of her defenders beat, chips it over Ashlyn Harris for the first goal of the game. Nice right-footed touch, puts Dash up 1-0.
Canadian connection right there as Schmidt continues to find success, and Nichelle Prince with the first goal of the evening.
Drafted out of Ohio State by the Dash in 2017. She spent her whole NWSL career in Houston.
Prince attacking the end line. And a goal kick here for the Orlando Pride.
And that's the first goal conceded by Orlando in this fall series as they shut out last year's NWSL champion North Carolina 0-0 last weekend.
Now let's see how Orlando Pride responds, trailing for the first time here in the fall series.
And shutouts could play an important part in the standings for the Verizon Community Shield. And what that is, it's a new thing, obviously, just like the fall series is a new thing. The top 3 teams, based on the final standings, get to award the community partner of their choice with $25,000 if they're first place, $15,000 for second place, $10,000 for third place. The Dash have chosen NAACP Houston as their community partner. And shutouts are going to be one of the tiebreakers. And that's very unusual for standings tiebreakers.
Naughton. Mazzali. Walensky knocked off the ball, but last touch by the Dash. Lawrence. Walensky plays it to the 6. And that one headed away. Another throw here for Orlando.
I like that read by Ali Prysock. Great defensive header. A lot of power on it to send it far from goal.
Visali stepping in front of Marta and now heads the other direction. Visali sending it forward, but no one up front for the dash. Dash now with 4 goals in the fall series. 3 of those coming against North Carolina. Mewis tripped up, and that's going to be a foul. And that one will be called against Jordan Listro.
Listro, young Canadian, hoping to one day get to be teammates with Nichelle Prince, Sophie Schmidt, Erin McLeod.
Listro, one of those other players with an interesting story, spent the last 3 years working in the medical device industry. Schmidt plays it out wide to Prince. Looked like that ball went out, and there's the late whistle. Nichelle Prince, the lone goal scorer here as we head to the hydration break. Houston up 1-0. Second game here in the fall series for both these teams. Houston up 1-0 as we'll take a look back at how we got to this 1-goal lead for the Houston Dash coming from Nichelle Prince.
Sophie Schmidt sending that ball in from deep. Prince beating both of her marks and Ashlyn Harris to float that into the back of the net. Her first goal since April 2019 in NWSL play.
And now a Houston Dash leading in this one. Orlando now with a break to gather themselves and readjust in how they want to attack that back line of the Houston Dash. You got to think Marta's going to be involved. Carrie Lawrence with the chance last week against North Carolina. The question is, where is the other help going to come to tonight with Sydney Leroux being out? Let's see what we can get from Savannah Uvegas, who's been a little bit quiet here in the opening 32 minutes of this one. And of course, you have a player like Marissa Vigiano, who scored 1 goal last year. There's a great look at Mark Skinner firing up his team.
I liked his comment to us this week about how he, when he realized at a young age he, wasn't going to get to be a professional footballer, just getting into coaching, but starting first as a teacher, as a tutor, and how that translates to being a good coach.
10 years he spent as a teacher before he became a full-time coach.
And there's a good look at James Clarkson, who's spent the last 20-plus years coaching in Houston, either coaching youth or training people to be coaches. Also, the Brazos Valley Cavalry up in College Station is a PDL affiliate with Houston Dynamo before he got the gig with the Dash in December 2018.
Presley. Vigiano will drop it back to Peterson, goes down the line. Just a slight mistouch on that pass as it finds its way out on the far touchline.
Haley Hansen, first round draft pick for the Dash in 2018 out of Nebraska. Earned her first U.S. national team cap basically the same month she made her pro debut, both of them at Houston.
Vigiano coming up as Mewis, nearly won the ball back for Houston. Peterson looking to go back to Vigiano, and once again, this one finds its way out on the far touchline. Groom. Hansen back to Prince. Prince sends it across, headed away. Nairn sends it in with the right foot, looking for Latsko, and that's going to hop into the hands of Ashlyn Harris.
Love the defensive play of Carrie Lawrence. She had that goal line clearance last week at North Carolina, and here she's just so focused, had some good defensive heading. And you know, going into this season, that Mark Skinner knew that defense was really the first thing they needed to fix. So many of his signings were defense related.
Mewis. She'll drop this back. Nairn finds Schmidt. And that pass cut out on the play. Walensky trying to sidestep Nairn. Right now, Orlando just having a trouble getting past their half of the field.
Katie Naughton and Allie Prysock holding it down. Center back Naughton played every single minute of 7 games for Houston at the Challenge Cup. She and Jane Campbell, only players to do that.
Naughton, of course, coming over in the trade that sent Kaylee Watt to the Chicago Red Stars.
Chicago coach Rory Dames was so classy at the Challenge Cup to say as well, you know, if we don't win against Houston in the final, at least I know that Katie Naughton will win.
Injured Pride player down on the ground is Abby Olinsky. Olinsky able to get up under her own power.
Nairn on the ball. Just gets tripped up a little bit by Olinsky.
Look like then on
Just
the
looks like an awkward fall.
on the follow through, maybe Nairn got a little bit of the calf of Olinsky there.
I asked Nairn earlier this year, the last in-person interview I had with a Dash player, which goes all the way back to late February, just about how she developed her free kicks. And she said, well, I had 2 brothers that, you know, wanted to constantly have balls kicked at them. So I got really good at it with both feet.
Nairn sends it in towards the spot, brought down by Presley. And Krieger there to play it outside. And then the giveaway once again by Orlando, still having issues getting out of their final third.
And this has to be the difference between not having Kristen Edmonds, just that connective tissue between the offense and the defense. Edmonds having played every season since the Orlando Pride kicked off in NWSL back in 2016.
Lawrence cutting inside, but Vizali able to stop her. Lawrence not afraid to move up on the pitch. Mewis playing it outside, looking for Prince. Backing up is Peterson. Prince into the area. That one far post. Veronica Latsko was in the vicinity for the Houston Dash.
Just a few steps away from tapping that in past Ashlyn Harris. Nice idea from Nichelle Prince, our goal scorer on the night. Houston, of course, the team with the most Canadian allocated players. Prince along with Sophie Schmidt and Alicia Chapman sitting out this match due to red card suspension. Just like their partner team, Houston Dynamo, used to be called Canada South. I think Dash is now the equivalent of Canada South.
Naughton will play this all the way back to Jane Campbell. Orlando Pride still looking for that first shot on target. Meanwhile, the Dash have already had 4 on target here in this opening 40 minutes. This foul is going to go against Jordan Listro. And that will set up Christy Mewis with that left foot.
Mewis, like Nairn, and NWSL original. She played every season with this league.
Looking for Prince. Prince brings it down. You can see Prince trying to pass that over to Shea Groom as it's cleared away by Tony Presley.
Great pressure by the Dash. Earning another corner. Something historically Dash has been weak on set pieces, but things have definitely changed in the last year. Mewis sending it over. Prince getting the one touch, trying to feed to Groom, but Presley's there to clear that ball. Dash corner. Mewis again.
You can hear the crowd. Limited fans available as Mewis sets up. Groom puts it on the ground, and Harris able to get on top of that. That went through about 3 different players.
A lot of bodies in that 6-yard box. I could have ping-ponged off of anyone.
For Groom, 3 goals in the Challenge Cup. Looking for that first one here in the fall series, but coming into the game, she has been involved in 6 of the 11 goals for the Houston Dash coming into the evening.
Assisted 2 of the 3 2 weeks ago at North Carolina.
A great look at second-year coach Mark Skinner for the Orlando Pride. Pearson plays it out wide. That one stays in. Just stopped right there on the touchline. I think Orlando thought it was going to roll out. Naughton, here's Nairn. Turns away. In this game, Houston has been the aggressor, leading 1-0 on a Nichelle Prince goal in the 27th minute. Mewis with a little tap pass, finding Vizzali. Vizzali into the area, plays it back, cleared out. Well, Lawrence tried to make a sliding tackle. Vizzali was able to step around her, creating an opportunity, but once again, Orlando there to repel the ball away. Always dangerous when you go to ground like that. That time allowing Vizzali to get around and get an opportunity. Presley surveys the field. Peterson looking for Vegas. Presley inching forward. Schmidt heads it out to Prince. Vegas on her backside, and Hansen clears this past midfield. Now Mewis here looking to go quick. Prysock. Groom at the center. Lawrence will play this all the way back to Harris. Giving chase is Latsko. Mewis looking for Latsko. Chance for the dash, and that one well off. Dash looking for their second goal. Latsko had time there as we'll take a look back.
Hansen to Mewis. Side foots it to Latsko, takes the shot off, but way too wide, not on frame. I like that look from Mewis. Power from Latsko, but not precision.
Lawrence misplaced pass. 3 minutes here, a stoppage time added on. Houston looking to add to their goal total before half. Nairn plays it back to the circle. Prysock wide to Hansen. Hansen with numbers inside, that's where she goes. Groom. Groom, good contact, but sends it wide of the frame.
And I like that quick thinking of just the one touch it. I'm not necessarily facing goal, but let's try to catch Orlando's defense off guard.
Listro. Trying to get by Mewis. Lawrence. Presley back to Krieger. Pressure by Latsko. Vigiano. Vegas drops it off for Peterson. Good combination play there for the Orlando Pride. A nice through ball in here. Pride with a late chance. Shot, and that one hits off the inside of the post and goes in for the first goal for the Orlando Pride.
Stoppage time goal, and we've seen a lot of those in this fall series, Josh. It's a great way to go into the locker room with everything level. Working up that left flank, sending it in, getting it just inside that left post, threading the needle between Jane Campbell coming out and the post.
Vigiano with her first goal here in the fall series. She scored one last year against Sky Blue, but gets a big goal here at stoppage time right before half. In a game that Orlando has been struggling to get in that final third. Well, they get the late goal here to end the first half, so now a goal for the Orlando Pride to work with coming out in the second half. The first goal scored right there in Nichelle Prince. She scored in the 27th minute. Orlando would respond in stoppage time with a goal from second-year player Marissa Vigiano, and that is where we are at as we head into half. 1-1 is our score for Orlando and Houston, both playing in their second game here in the fall series. As we get set for half, the question is now go in, regroup, come out with some new tactics, and try to get that second goal and look for that first win as both teams are chasing their first 3 points of the fall series. We have plenty to come for you here at half. We'll step aside. We'll be right back. You're watching the NWSL on Twitch. One to one is our score here at BBVA Stadium in Houston, Texas. Orlando Pride with a late goal in stoppage time to knot things up, but plenty of action in the NWSL Fall Series as we take a look at the schedule and what transpired. Chicago and Sky Blue, that one 4-1. That one back on Sunday. Portland Thorns also with a victory against Utah 3-0. And then earlier today, you had the Chicago Red Stars and the Washington Spirit evening up things at 1-1, and then Utah Royals and OL Reign. 4 goals all coming in the first half. They would not find a goal in the second half. That one would end at 2-2. And right now, the theme of this Saturday is draws. We're hoping that's not the case as both Orlando and the Houston Dash look for their first 3 points here in the fall series. Houston with a goal in the 27th minute. They were able to control a majority of that first half, but Marissa Vigiano coming up big at stoppage time to tie things up 1 apiece. That is where we sit at the moment. So right now, both teams recovering in the locker room, trying to draw up new ways to find a way to be able to find that second goal here in the second half. When we come back, we will return with more action. We'll take a break here. You're watching the NWSL on Twitch. 45 minutes in the books. Houston Dash won, Orlando Pride won, but we have great upcoming games here in the fall series as we take a look at the schedule and what's up ahead. Well, you have Portland Thorns and OL Reign, that one on Wednesday. Then on Saturday, back to it, Sky Blue hosting Washington, and then Utah hosting the Portland Thorns. And then on Sunday at 7 Eastern, you have Houston Dash going against the North Carolina Courage. Great games ahead here in the fall series. All pods taking place as we really get excited for the game on Wednesday night between the Portland Thorns and the OL Reign.
This game, originally scheduled for September 12th, had to be pushed back to September 30th because of the wildfires, the smoke, the air quality problems in the Pacific Northwest. Going to be a great match. Portland 3-0 in their first game of the fall series last weekend. These teams went scoreless when they faced off in Challenge Cup. And then Utah today having a great start, getting 2 goals. Sorry. OL Reign today getting 2 goals against Utah pretty quickly in that first half. So I think both teams have found their attacking style that we didn't quite see in the Challenge Cup, so that's always going to be a good matchup, Pacific Northwest.
Now they look to build upon that, but it's great to have the midweek game as Portland Thorns and OL Reign, that one on Wednesday night, but we still have plenty more to come here from BBVA Stadium as we are knotted up at 1 apiece. When we return, we will have highlights and stats for you right here on Twitch. Welcome back. 1-1 is our score between the Houston Dash and the Orlando Pride. 45 minutes down, and we'll take a look back at the first 45 minutes of play between these two clubs. As the Houston Dash in the 14th minute here, Christy Mewis drops it off for Groom. Groom trying to go across to the far post, but Ashlyn Harris diving on top, getting the save. That one hitting off her leg and then headed away by Krieger in the 15th minute. Here's Nichelle Prince, goes to the inside, gets it on her left foot, and then just looking for that far post. And once again, Ashlyn Harris going down to the ground to knock that ball away. Ashlyn Harris very busy here in this opening 45 minutes. She already has 4 saves in this game in the 20th minute. Here for the Houston Dash, Veronica Latsko steps up and lets this one go with the right foot and just over the crossbar. There, she wins the ball from Listro, has enough space, and just gets the ball on that right foot and just inches over the bar. In the 27th minute, this one played forward. Schmidt finds Prince, and all she has to do is chip it over Ashlyn Harris, and that would be the first goal of the game coming from the Canadian Nichelle Prince. Beautiful ball, splits the defenders, and just the easy chip over. And here in stoppage time, Marissa Vigiano would respond for the Orlando Pride. Great right-footed ball, hits the inside of the near post and goes past the goal line. Big goal there for the Orlando Pride to knot things up. Second goal in Marissa Vigiano's career, but her first here in the fall series as we take a look at the first half stats.
54% possession for the Dash, leading Orlando. A little bit different than what we saw in the Challenge Cup, where it tended to be Dash opponent having the greater possession. Clearly out shooting Orlando. We really saw them dominate that first half until the end against the run of play. Orlando equalizing right before they go into the locker room for halftime.
Possession, a big thing for the Houston Dash. We were talking about in a half how in the Challenge Cup, usually that was reversed in terms of statistic, but Marissa Vigiano with a late goal in the first half, something to build on here in the second half for Mark Skinner, having a little bit of momentum carry over into the second 45. Jen, what are your expectations here for the Orlando Pride coming out of half?
I think they need to just take the momentum of having scored that goal late in the first half, keep that going, that confidence, especially the new players you have in this lineup, Savannah Uvegas, Chelsea Washington, getting her first pro assist on that equalizer. And I think what's going to be important for both teams is how the subs are managed, who comes in, when they come in, and how well they integrate into the flow of the game that's already going on.
Both teams will have 5 substitutions that they can use in this one. For the Houston Dash, they got the early lead, but Orlando able to strike late. You're watching Southpaw play between Orlando and Houston. The other team, of course, being the North Carolina Courage. They are off today. And we'll be back at it again, of course. You're looking at, in this fall series, all 9 teams competing. 4 games total. Each team will have 2 home games and 2 away games. For the Orlando Pride, they've already played 2 on the road, so their next 2 will be at home in Orlando.
One of them at Exploria Stadium, they're usually home. One of them at, I think it's Osceola County Stadium. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Some teams having to move to different venues depending on scheduling, but I think it's really interesting to see how these standings are going to play out with only 4 games per team, much like the first round of the NWSL Challenge Cup, but different tiebreakers coming into play. After goal differential, then going to goals for, then going to shutouts, and we have not had a lot of teams earn shutouts yet in this fall series, and then the final tiebreaker is yellow card, red card points. Not going to do a coin toss if anybody's tied. If they're tied, then they share whatever prize they end up with. First place, of course, being $25,000 courtesy of Verizon for whatever community partner that team has chosen. Second place, $15,000. Third place, $10,000.
And we will have a substitution for Orlando to begin this second half. Tanisha Blackwood will make her second appearance here in the fall series as she will replace Savannah Uvegas. Denisha Blackwood, she can be dangerous on that wing. She had some beautiful crosses in the game against North Carolina. We'll see how she performs here in her second game with the Orlando Pride. Blackwood out of Kingston, Jamaica, has 20 appearances with the Reggae Girls. As Orlando will begin with the ball here in the second half, and there is Blackwood as this one played off Haley Hansen.
Blackwood, part of that Jamaica national team last year, going to their first ever Women's World Cup. And of course, her Reggae Girls teammate, Kanya Plummer, one of Orlando's draft picks this year. And Kayla McCoy, another Reggae girl. She was a 2019 pick for the Dash, but she's out with a knee injury.
Krieger inches forward. Lawrence. And that one headed away by Nairn. Again, Nairn getting the start at left back today. Used to seeing her in the midfield. It's a little bit different position for her. And that slides Allie Prysock into the center back position for the Houston Dash. For Orlando Pride, looking for their first victory in over a year. Again, they did not participate in the Challenge Cup. Played one game here in the fall series, ending in a 0-0 tie against North Carolina. And now here in their second match, getting their first goal coming from Marissa Vigiano. Latsko pushes up, and Blackwood right there. Now Blackwood slows it up. Peterson will go inside to Allie Krieger. One of the things that Denisha Blackwood brought against North Carolina was plenty of energy and created dangerous chances. She'll look to build off that performance. Bazzali here with some space. Cuts it in and headed up. Still in the box. Still loose. And now cleared away for a throw.
Great attempt by Brie Bazzali. So close to being a goal.
And now Blackwood with her first yellow card.
She's shaking that off. I don't agree.
I think it was for a high boot on Groom. But now Denisha Blackwood into the book.
And we should mention that, you know, per the FIFA World Cup roster, she prefers to go by Den Blackwood, but we've got Denisha on the roster per Orlando Pride. So maybe it just depends who she's playing with.
Prince goes inside to Schmidt. Schmidt all the way back to midfield. Here's Katie Naughton. Nairn with that left foot. And no one there for the dash, but it finds the boot of Nichelle Prince. Prince at the end line, cuts it in. Hard tackle there in the box by Veronica Latsko, and that's going to draw the foul.
Latsko doesn't think that should be a goal kick. She was expecting a corner there. Prince sending it into the front of the box. Latsko trying to get a touch on it. Ball sent out, not sure if it went off Dash or Pride. Now these two teams, Josh, represent the first two expansion teams in NWSL history. Dash entering the league in 2014, Pride in 2016. And of course, we have expansion coming up next year with Racing Louisville FC. Expansion draft for that club sometime this fall, of course, after the fall series.
Groom. Here's Hansen. Prysock to Naughton. Hansen on the wing. Groom gets by Listro. Latsko, that ball knocked away, finds the foot of Blackwood. And then the turnover by Haley Hansen, and a throw here for the Orlando Pride.
We should also note, Josh, that here you've got the Challenge Cup champs versus the Challenge Cup stands teams facing off. Orlando Pride, their social media did such a great job during the Challenge Cup since they couldn't participate in Utah that they were picking a team each matchup. It got to the point that whatever team they were picking wasn't winning, so some teams said, please, please don't stand us. But their social media did such a great job.
Mewis looking for Latsko. Krieger clears it away. And that one looked like it went off Vigiano, and here will be a throw for the Houston Dash. Dash in that first half, they were able to keep the ball in the final third for quite a bit of time as Hansen plays it in and knocked down, and Peterson gathers. Plays it forward with that left foot. Blackwood giving chase, but so is Prysock. Prysock gets there first and plays it back to Campbell.
Campbell has not seen much of the ball in this game, Josh.
Ashlyn Harris for sure has seen the action. If you're looking at the two goalkeepers, really can have a couple save of the weeks. She was fantastic in goal against North Carolina. That's continued over here tonight against the Houston Dash. Mewis. Vazzali. Seen Vazzali a little bit more on the outside here tonight. Challenge Cup, a lot of times you'd see her roaming through that middle of the field, linking up with combination plays. Prince plays this over to Hansen. Hansen gets around Vigiano, but coming back to help was Peterson.
Hansen helped earning another corner for the Dash. This will be their fourth corner of the game. Again, Christy Mewis walking over to take it.
Mewis always so dangerous on these corners as she sets up in that 1 yard arc. Inward swinging ball, back post. Headed down and then cleared away right near the goal line, put back in, and now pushed away high into the air. Well, we saw Lawrence have a magnificent save against North Carolina where she was able to keep the ball from rolling in across the goal line. Orlando doing it once again as this is shoveled over here. A chance for Groom. Groom goes to the ground, and that is going to draw the penalty. Vigiano does not agree with this.
And of course, it was a penalty kick in the Challenge Cup final that provided the game winner for the Dash. Of course, they earned that in the 5th minute. Sophie Schmidt converting. Wonder if it'll be Schmidt to step up to take this one.
Vigiano not happy as we'll take a look at this replay here and what transpired in the box.
Schmidt chipping it over to Groom. Groom and Vigiano entangled. Vigiano not agreeing with that call. Getting the yellow probably for dissent. And it is Schmidt once again stepping up to take it for the Dash.
Schmidt looking for her second goal here in the fall series. Harris lined up. Schmidt. And that one goes through the right corner, and Houston has their second goal of the evening.
And like we were saying before, she might not be a vocal leader, but she definitely leads with her actions, and she's cool as a cucumber there. 2 for 2 in her Dash PK attempts. Right-footed, upper right corner. Ashlyn Harris dives the right way, but can't get a hold of that ball. Dash lead 2-1. And James Clarkson did say after the Challenge Cup that one of the reasons Sophie took that kick in the final, when you thought it might have been Rachel Daly because she could have, locked down the golden boot with a goal there, but she'd been the only player in all their PK practices to never miss.
Orlando now looking for a quick response as they try to level things up once again. Marta, she'll go out wide. This one driven in and out of play.
I'm sure James Clarkson is thinking about last time Houston hosted Orlando at BBVA. They led twice, they conceded twice.
There's a great look at Brittany Wilson, the backup goalkeeper for Mark Skinner.
Earlier today, we saw an NWSL keeper make her debut, Melissa Lauder, for Utah, with both the first and second string keepers injured. Wonder if she's just warming up to stay warm, or maybe we'll see a late sub.
Mewis. Driving forward. At the end line, plays it across. Krieger on the ground, let's go. We'll drop this back to Mewis, plays it in, headed away by Krieger. One of the big differences this year for the Houston Dash is they are converting on their chances, but they're showing how dangerous they can be in that final third with some of these crosses that have been sent in this evening, as well as through the Challenge Cup and in their first game against North Carolina.
I think we're also seeing the new depth that the Dash have acquired. You don't have Rachel Daly, you don't have your big, top scorer, but you've still got Groom, Latsko, Prince, Schmidt, etc. And also defensively, you don't have Alicia Chapman, who James Clarkson feels best 1v1 defender in the league. You don't have Megan Oyster, who was part of your incredible center back pairing at the Challenge Cup, but the people subbing in are stepping up.
Marta earns Orlando's first free kick of the game. Orlando still has yet to take a corner kick. One of the things that James Clarkson talked about is working on these set pieces. They allowed 4 goals against North Carolina, all coming from dead starts. Towards the front of the area, headed on. Well, Tony Presley was able to get her head on it, but
easy grab for Jane Campbell there. Jane Campbell, of course, she's been the only person to play in goal for the Houston Dash, dating all the way back to June 2017. She's literally holding it down in goal.
I think it's, what, 64 regular season starts straight that she's made? And this is going to go against Orlando. Houston Dash with a 1-goal lead. They got their first goal in the first half by Nichelle Prince. And the second one coming in the 55th minute by Sophia Schmidt just a few minutes ago on a penalty kick. She controls the ball, plays it to Naughton. Naughton will go out wide. Schmidt, the Canadian. Hansen. Links up with Prince. Prince squeezes through. Gets to the left foot, curling and continuing wide. It's twice now we've seen Prince drive to that left foot. This one sending it wide.
Juking around the defender. Teeing up her left foot. Couple yards wide of that post. Prince with the first goal on the night, her first since April 2019 in NWSL play.
There's communication there between Blackwood and Vigiano. Mewis into the area, chance here, and that one denied by the left hand of Ashlyn Harris. Another big save. Ashlyn Harris with some magnificent saves this evening.
Incredible stretch to get a hand on this. Mewis making the run, not passing it off to Bri Vizzali nearby, but taking the shot herself. Ashlyn Harris outstretched and just gets enough of her left hand on that to keep it wide of the goal. And another corner earned for Houston Dash.
Back post, headed up and just trickles over the crossbar. Katie Nutton going up for that one for the Dash.
Mewis, left foot lofted, Naughton getting ahead on it, but not able to keep it low enough to go in the goal. Immediate frustration as she shakes her fist. Naughton with one NWSL goal scored for Chicago before she was traded to Houston.
Marta with the back heel and Campbell right on top of that. She wanted to go to Blackwood, just could not get enough weight on that pass. Looked like she had a little bit of room to work with, just could not attack the area enough.
You know, as we're talking about goals, Josh, we should mention that Cece Kaiser, one of the few Dash players who's on loan, she's in Norway right now. Dash tweeted out video of her first goal for the Norway club, Kobolten. I'm guessing that's how you say that. I don't know how to pronounce Norwegian. But that's certainly paying off. That's why James Clarkson wanted her to get that loan, because she'd get 8 to 9 games as opposed to 4 games. And she's a player that they're really looking forward to breaking out in the future.
The missed touch on this is going to give Mewis a chance with the left foot. And once again, Harris there smothers the ball and now picks it up. You've seen Houston try to go to the ground on Ashlyn Harris, but she has been able to go down to the surface to reject these balls from the Houston Dash.
And I feel like we're back in the rhythm of the first half where it's dash attack, dash attack, dash attack. Dash have kind of forced Orlando back into their half again.
Look at Ashlyn Harris, 58 saves last year. 4 saves against North Carolina, 5 tonight.
And of course, Harris only played a partial season last year because of the Women's World Cup.
Peterson sends it in, high arcing ball. And Campbell touched that. This should be a corner for Orlando, the first of the night. So Pride getting their first corner.
Nice lofting ball from Viggiano. Campbell seems to not be able to decide if she wants to parry it or catch it, ends up sending it out for corner. And I think that's the downside of having a night in goal where you're not touching the ball very often. You spend a lot of the game as a spectator. And Viggiano seems to be involved in almost every play, Josh, that's getting near goal.
2 players lined up at the far corner, and Viggiano and Peterson. Viggiano runs through, Peterson sends it in. Marta
getting fancy.
Nice ball into herself, plays it up. Vizzali heads it, and now Naughton clears it away. Hansen sends it out past the touchline. You can see how good Marta still is with that ball just tethered to her foot. Still one of the most creative players in the NWSL.
Possibly the world. And of course, we've only seen 1 sub for Orlando so far, none for the Dash. Each team allowed up to 5 subs per game. Of course, they can only come at halftime or in one of 3 windows. And unlike the Challenge Cup, where teams could suit up every single player, here this is the more traditional. You're suiting up 18. Some of the traveling teams are only taking the max that they could sub, so they're only traveling with 16.
That one just too far for Peterson, and now we will see a substitution for the Houston Dash as Katie Stengel will make her appearance, and off will go Bri Vazali.
Stengel earned an assist in the game at North Carolina, playing provider to Sophie Schmidt on the third goal for Houston in that game.
Stengel in her first season with the Houston Dash, coming over from Utah Royals FC. Aaron looking for Stengel. Washington playing it up to Marta. Marta waiting for some help. Get some support from Blackwood. Blackwood trying to get around Hansen. Hansen doing a good job of shielding Blackwood off. Groom. Presley right there, and Peterson's going to run out of room. Quick throw by Hansen, and Houston will have to reset and do this again. It looks like we'll have another sub.
Kanya Plummer, another reggae girl about to make her NWSL debut, coming in for Pride veteran Toni Presley. Plummer, the first Jamaican-born player to be drafted into the NWSL. One of Orlando's many draft picks this year, and I love that she's rocking that purple hair.
Plummer actually started her college career at forward before moving back to the center back position as that continues on here in the NWSL.
And she's one of those many Florida-born or Florida-based or Florida-clubbed players that we've talked about. So much talent coming out of Florida and coming through Florida from the Caribbean.
Latsko, this one played away, though, by Orlando. Schmidt falls down, gets no power behind that, and then a late whistle. Are we going to have a foul here? It looks like Schmidt slipped on that, but we're going to have a yellow card handed out. This is the third of the game. Let's see who this is handed to. And we are told that this will be handed to Jordan Listro. Now a chance here for Shea Groom in the Houston Dash at the top of the area. About a yard, maybe two out. Houston looking to add to their goal total.
In all of 2019, they never scored more than 2 goals in one game. And they had 3 to start the Challenge Cup against Utah and 3 against North Carolina to start the fall series.
Mewis, Schmidt, and Groom all by the ball. Groom will take this, and that one right into the arms of Ashlyn Harris.
But I like the execution of that. 2 players with their back to the goal. Hard for the wall, hard for the keeper to see what's going on. Schmidt with a little touch to feed Groom, takes the shot, but it's right to Harris.
Krieger now looking to spring a counter. Marta charging, and that one hits off Houston, goes down in another corner here for the Orlando Pride. I believe that hit off Sophie Schmidt. Marta with another good look there for the Orlando Pride. As we take a look back at that replay, and getting her body right in front of that left leg was Sophie Schmidt. Left-footed ball. Naughton right there. Sends it right back in. Chance in that one. It looked like Plummer got her left foot on, just sends it wide.
Plummer at age 21 last summer, captain of Jamaica's Women's World Cup team. Started every game for the Reggae Girls in France. Marta sending it through. Plummer stretching her leg to try to get a final touch on that, but it goes wide.
Plummer nearly able to get her foot on that. If that's the goal that levels things up, what a spectacular first NWSL goal. Now here, a chance for the dash. Mewis plays it in, and that one just played out by Krieger. Krieger back there, gets her foot on it. Harris had to come out to try to stop Mewis.
Now that's a partnership. Harris coming out on goal, Krieger getting back to make the goal line save. Mewis making the run, gets around Harris. Krieger getting there just in time to send the ball out and not into the net.
Great job there by Krieger coming back, and if she doesn't get her foot on that, for sure that's the third goal for the Houston Dash.
You could also see Plummer rushing back. She would have been goal line to get a ball off. It's great connection by the defense, all working together.
Punched away. Schmidt sends it right in. Chance here, takes a Richie, and then that finds the roof and bounces in. Shea Groom with the third goal for the Houston Dash. That ball was pinballing around, finds Groom, and she puts it in for the third goal of the night.
Back-to-back games, Josh, for Houston Dash to score at least 3. Mewis taking the corner. Harris gets a palm on it to send it out, but Schmidt coming back in, send that ball into danger. Hansen takes the shot. Groom follows up when it bounces back. Not a lot Ashlyn Harris can do when it's coming back and forth so quickly. Definitely like a pinball kind of experience, and Dash are up 3-1 in the 72nd minute.
Shea Groom now with her first goal here in the fall series. We talked about how active she has been with Houston this year in the Challenge Cup and here in the fall series. She seems to always be involved in a Dash goal. Groom coming over from Reign. And really, since she has come over, she has been a big factor for James Clarkson in that attack. Orlando now looking to make it a one-goal game if they can get one here by Jane Campbell. Blackwood. Sent in. High into the air and easy catch by Jane Campbell. Second game for both these clubs here in the fall series. All teams will play 4 games in this new look format here, and each team will have 2 home games, 2 away games.
And separated into the pods, this is the Southeast pod, Houston, Orlando, North Carolina. Of course, we've got the West pod of Utah, Portland, Reign, that kind of had a delayed start to their part of the schedule. And then, of course, Northeast, Washington, Sky Blue, and Chicago. But all of them in one table for standings. We've talked about the tiebreakers already. I love that they've got something to fight for. There's meaning to these games. It's a limited schedule, but not compressed like the Challenge Cup. So these teams really have time to regroup after each game, practice more, get more fit, tweak their lineups, tweak their formations.
Stengel gets around Listro, and that pass cut out. Walensky, though, loses possession. that one will go out. Last touch by Orlando. Sixth corner of the night. I should say now seventh corner for the Houston Dash. And this will line Kristie Mewis up once again. Last goal scored by Shea Groom, really coming off the start of this corner. And now looking to continue to add on to their total as they look for their fourth goal of the night. This one headed back. Shot, and this one well over. And now we will have our hydration break here in the second half. Houston up 3-1 against the Orlando Pride for Houston. Prince got things going in the 27th minute. Orlando would respond in stoppage time of the first half with Marissa Viggiano getting her first goal in the fall series. But then Sophie Schmidt would get a goal in the 55th minute on a penalty kick. And then Groom in the 72nd minute would add the third for the Houston Dash as we take a look at how we got to this point here tonight. Great ball by Schmidt, finding Prince as she chips it over Harris. That one being the first goal of the evening for Prince, her first goal since 2019, as in the 48th minute. Here's where Marissa Viggiano would have a great goal, hits off the inside of the near post and goes in for the Orlando Pride. That would give them some momentum going to the second half, but Houston right away. Here you see Groom going to the ground. Viggiano doesn't agree with the call. Looks like stumbling back there was Groom, and then Schmidt would go put it in the upper right corner in the 72nd minute. Off the corner, the ball punched away by Harris. Schmidt goes to the inline, plays it in, pinballs around off the near post, and Shea Groom puts it in for the third goal. Houston leading this one 3-1. Houston now with 14 goals in 2020. Last year in 2019 just had 21. As now Kelly will sub on for the Dash.
Adding to that Canada South vibe. She is a dual citizen, has played for Canada. So she doesn't need an international spot. She's not allocated, but still Canadian. Played one season with Vlatko Nanofsky at FC Kansas City, along with Shea Groom.
Kelly in for Veronica Latsko. Orlando still looking for that second goal. Peterson turning away from Prince. Blackwood. Listro will play it back. Plummer. Plummer, one of those subs here in the second half for Mark Skinner. Harris, some spectacular saves tonight. But it's been a struggle as Houston continues to get shots on target here this evening. Mewis, and that one wide. You look at the Houston Dash, 11 shots on target here tonight against the Orlando Pride.
And of course, Ashlyn Harris doing a tremendous job to keep those shots out of the back of the net. Look at James Clarkson there, a second year with the Houston Dash. First coach to bring home a trophy for the Dash.
Marta. Peterson back to Marta, the Brazilian. Gets around one, but can't get around Hansen, but throw here for the Pride. Listro. Plummer. Stengel. Looks for Groom. Oh, and a hard tackle there by Groom. Groom going down. Try and play that ball away. She doesn't agree with it, but this, I think we're going to see our yellow card for Shea Groom.
Groom doing her best Christine Nairn impression with the shoulders. Like, what? I don't understand. Groom getting her leg across. Ooh, ouch. In front of Peterson to bring her down.
So Peterson able to get up. Always a good sign to see that. Looked like a hard tackle there by Shea Groom. Peterson in her first season out of Virginia, where she is all ACC. Listro avoiding Groom. Plummer will roll it back to Harris. A little bit more than 9 minutes remains in this one. Of course, we'll have stoppage time. Second straight game that the Houston Dash have scored 3 goals. Alinsky giving chase. Good battle here. Alinsky going to the inline. That one off of Nairn. And now Alinsky slow to get up. Corner, though, here for the Orlando Pride. Alinsky in her 3rd season. All 3 years with the Orlando Pride.
The very limited time in 2018, that was the toughest year for any rookies because right after the draft, Boston Breakers folded, so you lost about 20 roster spots. So a player like Alinsky drafted, didn't have a big shot to get in roster, but hung around as a national team replacement player. And I think that's what was so wonderful about last year. You saw a lot of those players from 2018 earn full contracts and now are even getting more minutes.
Marta plays it in. And Naughton right there again. Just always seems to be in the right position on those corners. Schmidt working her way up. Has help on the left-hand side. Looking for Kelly. That one headed away by Krieger.
And for the Dash, so important that they finish out this game. I know James Clarkson felt that they could have won in North Carolina. They were ahead. And not only did they allow an equalizer, but they allowed a go-ahead goal fairly late in the game. Here they've got a 2-goal advantage, but still you need to be mindful of that, especially knowing there will be at least a few minutes of stoppage time given the hydration breaks.
Houston looking for their first win of the fall series. Challenge Cup champions playing their first game here at BBVA Stadium.
And with this 3-goal performance tonight for the Dash and having scored 3 at North Carolina, first time they've had back-to-back 3-goal performances since 2016.
Stengel through ball. Mewis, that one well over. Mewis wanted to go, it looked like to the upper near corner, but sends it out. She had time to work with there. Just unable to capitalize on that opportunity.
Could still see some more subs in this game. Both teams still have subs available.
3 each for both sides. Plummer. Here's Peterson. Prince wins the ball for the Dash. Schmidt. Alinsky drops it off. Marta here with an opportunity for the Pride. Cuts to her left foot. Blackwood. Vigiano will play it back. Blackwood tries to get around Hansen, stops.
Another important milestone here potentially for the Dash, Josh. A win would mean it's the first time they've won without Rachel Daly in the lineup since September 2016. Goal scorer Nichelle Prince coming off. Jamia Fields coming on. She was also used as a sub at Carolina. Fields also played with Orlando their first 2 seasons in the league. Spent a season in Norway and got her MBA at the same time and came back to NWSL last year, joining the Dash. But back to my point about Rachel, it says a lot that the team has been building enough depth that you're not wholly dependent on one player. Of course, that stat's a little skewed by the fact that Rachel basically played every game in 2017 and 2018. But it speaks to the fact that last year, while she was gone at the Women's World Cup, they were unable to win when she was not there.
Listro coming near side for Blackwood. Viggiano looking to go for it to Alinsky. Krieger. Orlando looking for some late game magic, trying to find that second goal right now. Let's see if they can put a little bit more pressure here in this attacking third as this is chested down. Alinsky, and that one right at the belly of Campbell.
And sounds like we will be having at least one more sub before the final whistle. Another NWSL debut, but not someone who's in her first year in the league, as strange as that may sound. Ali Haran, we're hearing, should be coming on soon. She spent 2018 with North Carolina. Waived and then picked up by the Dash in the middle of 2019, but didn't make appearances for either team. Got a fall series short-term contract. So great to see a player like that who's been working hard for 2+ years in the league finally get some game minutes. And she'll be coming on for, well, it looked like Carrie Lawrence was running off. She has to go to the touch line or the near side. So Ali Haran coming on for Carrie Lawrence. The Wake Forest alum making her NWSL debut.
Now seeing in this fall series, 7 players for Orlando make their NWSL debut. Hansen. Schmidt. Fields. Fields trying to get by Peterson, but Peterson staying on that hip. Mewis. Mewis wants a handball, and she's going to get it. And now a set piece here for the Houston Dash. And now Nairn will step up. Megan Kelly right by her. Approaching the 90th minute. Houston looking for their first win here in the fall series.
Nairn on the ball, and this will be her first game in 2020 to go the full 90. Playing at left back of all places.
Showing off a little bit more of her versatility. Nairn just waiting for the go-ahead. Into the 6, headed up. And that one over. A couple different players were able to get contact for the Dash.
2 different heads on it. No one could get it down on frame. but good pressure on net. Mewis gets ahead. Jamia Fields gets up there, but can't keep it down, can't keep it in front of goal.
We are being told we will have 5 minutes of stoppage time added on in this one. Orlando's lone goal coming in stoppage time of the first half, hoping to do that here in the second half as they want to add to that total. But right now, Houston controlling possession in this game. Houston, we talked about at half how during the Challenge Cup, usually they were the team that was playing with the ball not nearly as much as their opponent, but here tonight, they have done a good job controlling the ball and controlling it in Orlando's defensive third. Nairn with another chance here. She'll get that left leg ready.
Sneaky switch Fields ball, not really a free kick.
Back heel to Groom, looking for Fields. Fields, and that one played out by Plummer.
Nice job by Fields to earn a corner. Still 4 minutes to play. Groom sending it through to Fields. Gets a touch on it, but Kanya Plummer's right there to send it out. Tough angle, but Dash get the corner.
Driven ball near post. 8th corner here for the Houston Dash. Mewis will set up once again for another chance. Back post. Well, Ashlyn Harris, she has made plenty of saves tonight, but Orlando having allowed the 3 goals. Second game for the Orlando Pride. So they'll look to continue to build on their first 2 performances here, but trying to get a late goal. Marta here, maybe with an opportunity, but Campbell right there to fall on top of the ball.
Campbell hasn't had to do much this game, but Marta breaking through, Campbell coming sliding out, grabbing that ball with authority. Campbell remembers last 2 weeks ago all too well of giving up those late goals. Even with the 2-goal lead, why risk it? And these teams will meet again. October 9th, they will play in Florida. Houston will host North Carolina next weekend, and then the final group game of this pod is the final weekend of the fall series with North Carolina playing at Orlando.
Vigiano, lone goal scorer for the Orlando Pride, leaves it back for Krieger. Haran goes back to Krieger. Krieger looking for Marta, but Naughton once again right there for the Dash. You can see what an influence that Naughton has been in this game, as well as through the Challenge Cup. But really solidifying that back line for James Clarkson. Nairn, she'll play this all the way back to Jane Campbell. Jane Campbell allowing just the 1 goal tonight. She really hasn't been tested too much here this evening. As Groom now moves up, right-footed ball, and that one left of the target. You can see here, even in stoppage time, Houston trying to find that fourth goal.
They're not taking the foot off the pedal. Groom getting the shot off, too high to find frame.
Houston with 6 goals here in the first 2 games of the fall series. They had 8 total in the Challenge Cup as they get their first win here in the South Pod over the Orlando Pride. Jen, your thoughts here on the 90 minutes?
Well, you can tell that Houston learned a lot from that first game at North Carolina, namely finishing their chances and shutting down the other team. Orlando getting a goal after a shutout at North Carolina. A lot of bright performances from young players.
Mark Skinner will look to continue to build with his young squad as they will go back to the drawing board. They'll play again on the 9th of October. That one will be in Orlando, but Houston with the win tonight, 3-1. We'll take a break. We'll be back with highlights. You're watching the NWSL on Twitch. The final tonight at BBVA Stadium in Houston, Texas. Houston Dash 3, Orlando Pride 1, as we now take a look at the highlights from the 90 minutes of action between these two clubs.
Houston getting it started early. Sophie Schmidt sending it up to her Canadian teammate, Nichelle Prince, finds net for her first goal since April 2019. Nice lofted shot over Ashlyn Harris. But Orlando come back in first half stoppage. Vigiano getting the second goal of her Orlando career, sneaking it by Jane Campbell on that inside post to equalize just before halftime. But second half ended up being all Houston Dash. Vigiano taking down Shea Groom in the box, referee pointing to the spot immediately. And of course, who steps up to take that penalty? Well, the player who took the penalty in the Challenge Cup final, Sophie Schmidt, sending it to the right, converting. She's 2 for 2 in her all-time Dash penalty kicks. Dash leading 2-1 at this point. And then to put the icing on the cake and create their back-to-back 3-goal games off a corner from Mewis, even though Harris palms the ball out wide. Schmidt sends that ball back in, bounces from Hansen to the defense to Shea Groom, finishing that for the third goal of the night. Again, back-to-back 3-goal games for the Dash, first time since September 2016. Air Groom is taking flight again.
Dash with their first win here in the fall series. As we take a look at the stats, Houston dominating the shots, 27 to just 6 for Orlando. And then you look shots on goal, 11 for the Dash, just 2 for the Orlando Pride. Possession also in favor of Houston. So a couple things for Orlando to work on improving as they get ready for their next game. But Houston Dash showing again that they are able to put goals on the scoreboard as they look to continue to build off tonight's performance as they will continue in. As we take a look at the upcoming schedules for both these teams in the fall series, you have Portland Thorns and OL Reign. That one on Wednesday night. You have Sky Blue and Washington, the Northeast squad, getting it going on Saturday at 12:30. And then Utah Royals taking on the Portland Thorns. That one at 3:30 Eastern. And then Sunday, this Houston Dash back at it again against North Carolina, the team they faced to start off the fall series where they fell 4-3. So they'll be looking to respond to North Carolina Courage once again. But 90 minutes in the books as the Houston Dash get the win.
And that 27 shots, Josh, that could be a record for the club. We'll have to look that up later, but an incredible total for the club.
Well, Houston Dash getting their first win back at BBVA Stadium as they finish this one off 3-1 against the Orlando Pride. Orlando up next for them. They will take on this Houston team again on October 9th. That one in Orlando for Houston. They will play Sunday the 4th at North Carolina as they will get ready to go once again. But for our crew, Jen Cooper, I'm Josh Toll. We will see you again very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.